On March 13, 1920, the Kapp Putsch was an abortive coup d'etat against the German national government in Berlin. Named after its leaders, Wolfgang Kapp and Walter von Lüttwitz, the movement aimed to reverse the German Revolution of 1918 to 1919, overthrow the Weimar Republic, and replace it with an authoritarian government. The coup received support from sections of the Reichswehr, as well as nationalist and monarchist groups. Although the legitimate German government was forced to flee Berlin, the coup collapsed within a few days when large parts of the population responded to the government's call for a general strike. Many civil servants also refused to cooperate with Kapp and his supporters, making it impossible for the putschists to govern. Despite its failure, the Kapp Putsch had lasting effects on the future of the Weimar Republic. It helped trigger the Ruhr Uprising a few weeks later, which the government ultimately suppressed with military force, despite having treated the leaders of the Kapp Putsch relatively leniently. These developments deepened political divisions in Germany and contributed to shifts in voter support during the Reichstag elections of June 1920. On March 13, 1954, the Battle of Dien Bien Phu took place. It was a decisive defeat of the French Union by the Viet Minh in the First Indochina War. The French launched an operation to deploy and support their troops at Dien Bien Phu, located deep within the autonomous Thai Federation in northwestern Tonkin. The plan aimed to block Viet Minh supply routes into neighboring Laos, a French ally, and lure the Viet Minh into a large battle that would weaken their forces. The French established their troops in a remote but heavily fortified base, expecting to maintain it through aerial resupply, believing the Viet Minh lacked effective anti-aircraft weapons. However, the Communist Viet Minh, commanded by General Vo Nguyen Giap, surrounded and besieged the French position. They transported large quantities of heavy artillery, including anti-aircraft guns, across difficult mountainous terrain and positioned themselves on the slopes overlooking the French base. The Viet Minh also constructed tunnel systems, allowing them to move their artillery into position, fire at French defenses, and then pull the guns back into protective cover. In March 1954, the Viet Minh began a powerful artillery bombardment against the French stronghold. Because their guns were carefully placed in the surrounding hills, they were largely protected from French counterattacks. Intense ground combat followed, often resembling the trench warfare of World War I, although the French occasionally repelled Viet Minh assaults and received supplies and reinforcements by air. The situation steadily worsened. As key defensive positions fell, the French perimeter shrank, and air resupply, on which the French strategy depended, became impossible as aircraft were shot down and runways were destroyed. After a 2-month siege, the French garrison was overwhelmed in May 1954, and most of the surviving troops surrendered. A small number escaped to Laos. Of the 11,721 French soldiers captured, 858 of the most seriously wounded were evacuated through Red Cross mediation in May 1954. Only 3,290 prisoners were repatriated 4 months later. Some missing troops were believed to be Vietnamese soldiers serving in French forces who had not been returned, meaning not all were necessarily killed in captivity. Even so, the estimated death rate of French prisoners held by the Viet Minh was around 60%. The defeat also caused the French government in Paris to resign. The new Prime Minister, Pierre Mendès France, supported withdrawing French forces from Indochina. The Battle of Dien Bien Phu proved decisive. Soon afterward, the war ended with the signing of the Geneva Accords in 1954. France agreed to withdraw from its colonies in French Indochina, and Vietnam was temporarily divided along the 17th parallel. The Viet Minh established control in the north as the Democratic Republic of Vietnam under Ho Chi Minh. With strong support from the United States, the southern region became the State of Vietnam. Nominally, led by Emperor Bao Dai, preventing Ho Chi Minh from immediately unifying the entire country. And on March 13, 1989, STS-29 took place as the third shuttle mission following the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster in 1986, and launched from Kennedy Space Center, Florida. It was the 8th flight of Discovery and the 28th Space Shuttle mission overall. Its planned predecessor, STS-28, was delayed until August 1989. The mission was officially designated STS-29R because the original STS-29 label had previously been assigned to another mission. That earlier designation had belonged to STS-61A, the 22nd Space Shuttle mission. When it was first planned, the mission used the designation STS-29 while assigned to Space Shuttle Columbia, and later STS-30 when reassigned to Challenger, meaning the earlier numbering remained in official records and documents. Additionally, STS-51L had already been given the designation STS-33, which created further numbering conflicts. To prevent confusion in tracking and mission documentation, later flights that used the designations STS-26 through STS-33 added the letter R for reflight to their identifiers. This ensured that mission data from different flights could be clearly distinguished. Before the Challenger disaster, the mission had originally been scheduled for launch in June 1986 under the designation STS-61H, with Space Shuttle Columbia assigned to carry it out. Astronaut Anna L. Fisher had initially been chosen as a mission specialist for what would have been her second trip into space. However, she decided to leave NASA to spend more time with her family, and was replaced by rookie astronaut James P. Badgen. The planned mission was also set to include payload specialists from Indonesia and the United Kingdom. After the Challenger disaster and the subsequent restructuring of the Space Shuttle program, the mission was canceled, and those international payload specialists did not receive another opportunity to fly into space. The astronauts consist of Commander Michael Coates on his second spaceflight, pilot John E. Blaha on his first space shuttle mission, Mission Specialist 1 Robert C. Springer on his first spaceflight, Mission Specialist 2 Flight Engineer James Buckley on his third spaceflight, and Mission Specialist 3 James P. Badgen on his first spaceflight. Well, I hope you enjoyed the historical milestones for today. If you like what you hear, don't forget to leave a comment down below and subscribe. This is Stephen Luke. Since it's a beautiful day outside, I will see you next time for another history update.